Well, his grip on the ball was unique. That's how Barry Zito's father knew his son was destined for greatness. And he was right. Barry grew up to sign a $126 million contract with the Giants. That's the largest ever given to a pitcher at the time. Take a look.
Barry Zito was among Major League Baseball's elite as a Cy Young Award winner. But he was quick to credit his work ethic and perseverance for his rise to the top. Off the field, Barry enjoyed the spoils that came with worldly success. It completed his identity as a baseball player. In 2007, after signing the richest contract ever given to a pitcher, Barry's career began to take a downswing. The Giants advanced to the World Series in 2010, but he was left off the postseason roster due to unreliability on the mound. Fans began to turn on him. In his book, Curveball, Barry recounts the highs and lows of his career and how he finally found peace and true fulfillment after chasing fortune and fame.
Please welcome to the 700 Club, Barry Zito. Barry, it's wonderful to have you here. What a great book. Boy, that's an effort, I know, to outline a whole life worth of experience into one book when you've had so many experiences as you have. Go back, if you will, to your early childhood, because your dad realized early on that you had a unique grip. I have a baseball with me. Show us what the norm is and what your grip is.
Yeah, so I picked up a book when I was 7, my father put in front of me, called The Art of Pitching by Tom Seaver. And there was pictures of curveball grips, but of course they were right-handed pictures. And so I just gripped it left-handed, so I think I gripped it backwards. So this is the normal way that people throw a curveball, if you will, like this, or for a right-hander like that, off this middle finger. But for me, I gripped it this way, and I split the seam here. And I just had better control of it the whole time, and never met anyone from that point on who threw it like me.
So your dad knew that you were destined for greatness, that certainly was the hope of his heart. Talk a little bit about your relationship with your dad, because it was complex.
It was, yeah. My father was an incredible jazz musician who conducted and arranged for Nat King Cole.
Wow.
And he met my mother. She was a backup singer for Nat. But then he left New York and became a talent manager. And eventually, was telling these people how to become successful. And, he knew the culture of success, and he knew the signs of failure, as he told me. And so when I came along at 7, we lived in San Diego, and he just knew how to teach success, even if it was in...
Pass that on to you.
Yeah,
right.
Even if it was in something he didn't know about. And so he always was telling me, be a champion.
Yeah.
You can be a millionaire. You can have anything you want. And so these worldly things were starting to appeal, even at the young age.
Well, that's the dream of the world. So you're a Cy Young Award winner. You get this incredible contract that you sign. And all the things that your dad talked to you about came. You had the success. You had the adulation of fans. You had the money. What did that do to you?
Yeah, it was very difficult because I didn't have any foundation spiritually growing up. So baseball, in a lot of ways, was my God. I was defined by it. I even felt that I had to earn my father's approval and love from pitching well. Of course, he didn't mean that, but that's how I interpreted it. So when I had this huge success as a young adult, I thought I had created it all, and I took credit for everything. But underlying was this fear of, how do I repeat this?
And for every athlete, it seems, there comes the moment where the performance starts to slide a little bit. That happened for you. It's amazing to me, in athletics especially, how the crowd that ranted and raved for you one day is booing the next. It's painful to watch that. What is it like to walk through it?
It is tough. I think, I took it all very personal and thought they were booing me, like they wanted me to go home and have a hard night's sleep. But, I had an all about me mindset as a kid and growing up and being told, you're so special, you're different than the rest, which is great short-term gain, but long-term I felt superior to other people, kind of in a subtle way. And so when I had this huge contract and all this attention, I did not know how to shoulder the weight. I was never grateful for any of it. So I was like, this is all because of me, and now I have to figure this out on my own.
You took some pretty drastic measures to get your mojo back, if you will. Talk a little bit about the gold bar scenario that you share.
So I had many spiritual healers growing up and as an adult, lots of therapists. Until they didn't work, and I'd go get the next. So I found one, and we went to the East Coast, and we ingested this pill that had been from bacterial excrement, and the bacteria had ingested gold themselves, and in the excrement it was this thing that was supposed to grow my brain, stage 4 brain growth, which was this new thing. So
wow.
It made me feel very euphoric. It reminded me of these crazy drugs I used to do in high school. That was just one of the things I tried as I was searching.
In 2010, you were left off the World Series roster. That had to hurt.
That was the demise of my ego in a lot of ways, and my spiritual paradigm crashing, which I think we all need. We need our spiritual paradigm to crash to really know how solid is this. But yeah, I was making almost 20 million bucks, much more than anyone else on the team, yet I couldn't play. I wasn't good enough. And I watched them win a World Series that I actually got paid to lead them to.
Wow.
And that kind of was the beginning of the end, but then the beginning really started after that.
You're so right about that. Sometimes the thing that has falsely sustained us and held us up has to go away for us to come to the place that you came to. How did you find what you were actually looking for?
So I found footing initially after this destructive event in my life. I went home to Los Angeles. No one was calling, no one wanted to hang out. Like they did for years. And I entered into a 12-step program actually for codependency. I was obsessed with others' opinions of me because I was always defined by my father's opinion. And so step 2 of that was willing to admit there's a power greater than me. And that's something I actually never could say because I was raised in this kind of Eastern, I am my own God kind of thing.
Right. So how did you actually find Christ?
So my wife, Amber, and I started dating that year, and I heard her praying to a God that was like a friend, like a loving father. And I'd always prayed to a force that was no personality. So that kind of planted the seed, and about 8 months later, I was surrounded with the Barnes & Noble self-help section on the bed, like I was for years. And she said, honey, lock the books up and read this. And she gave me a Bible.
Had you ever read it before?
No, never read it. Always heard about it.
Sure.
Started attending Bible studies with our chaplain and with the Giants. And about 3 months later, I came to Christ. And after trying probably 10 practices and religions through the years, I finally stopped at the truth.
Today, you and Amber are married. You have 2 beautiful kids. And you're pursuing music. I mean, the gift from your dad was actually passed on.
It was, yeah. I've been waiting my whole life to go into music, and it's been such a gift to be able to pursue songwriting and production and all these things that I love so much.
And your life has changed dramatically.
My life has changed, and I'll tell you one thing. God delivered this 2012 World Series after that whole turbulent experience where I got to go pitch in Game 1 of the World Series in San Francisco and lead my team. And it was so funny because I said how I wanted to always, but it's funny because I stopped needing the redemption of the world.
Yeah.
And wouldn't you know, I finally got it. But it's just so backwards how it happened.
Yep. It's an amazing story, folks. We are just skimming the surface. There's so much more to it. It's all right here in his book, just released last week, by the way, Curveball. Get a copy. It's available wherever books are sold. What a wonderful story. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Terry.
Thanks for sharing with us today.